The year planes first flew, this also happened. Welcome to another episode of This Also Happened. When you see an interesting historical event, do you feel the urge to find out what else happened that same year? Then this show is for you. I'm Paul Duvall, explorer of history and technology. And now, my fellow explorers, fasten your seatbelts and enjoy this historical expedition through 1903, the year planes first flew. January 1st. President Theodore Roosevelt and Edith Roosevelt unveil new renovations to the White House, including a new West Wing. And by the way, it was actually Theodore Roosevelt himself who named it the White House. It had previously been known as the President's Palace, the President's House, and the Executive Mansion. January 14th, the iconic five-star Hotel National opens in Moscow, Russia, and later serves as the de facto home of the first Soviet government in the aftermath of the Russian Revolution. January 18th, the first wireless transatlantic telegraph to originate from the United States is sent from President Theodore Roosevelt to King Edward of England. This groundbreaking moment is made possible by Marconi's cutting-edge radio transmission technology. January 21st, Harry Houdini makes his dramatic escape from a police station in Amsterdam in a matter of 15 minutes. Houdini later goes on to divulge his secrets to American soldiers training for World War I, such as how to survive on a sinking vessel, as well as methods to escape from ropes, chains, and even German handcuffs. February 15th, the first teddy bear is introduced in America, inspired by a cartoon depicting American President Theodore Roosevelt, commonly called Teddy, having compassion for a bear while out hunting. The teddy bear rapidly rises to the status of pop culture icon and takes its place as an essential piece of every child's toy collection. February 23rd. Following the Spanish-American War, U.S. troops occupying Cuba are withdrawn, and the two countries sign a treaty stipulating that Cuba will lease Guantanamo Bay to the U.S. for use as a naval station. March 2nd, the Martha Washington Hotel, providing lodging exclusively for women, opens in New York City. The hotel features amenities specifically suited for women, such as a ladies' tailor shop, a manicurist, and a ladies' shoe polishing parlor. May 14th, President Theodore Roosevelt visits San Francisco, and his legendary arrival to the Golden City is caught on film. The film shows Roosevelt's carriage, escorted by the 9th U.S. Cavalry Regiment. May 16th, George Wyman begins the very first motorcycle trip across America, starting in San Francisco and arriving to New York City 50 days later. Unfortunately, on the last leg of the trip, his motorcycle falls into disrepair and George is forced to pedal for the last 150 miles. May 23rd, Horatio Nelson Jackson and Sewell Crocker embark on the first automobile trip across the U.S. from San Francisco to New York in a two-cylinder, 20-horsepower Winton. Along the way, they acquire an additional companion, a bull terrier named Bud. After a long and arduous journey fraught with countless breakdowns and flat tires, they finally arrive in New York City 63 and a half days later. May 24th. The Paris to Madrid race for automobiles begins, during which 3 spectators and 5 racers are killed. The French government shuts the event down at Bordeaux, impounds all the competitors' cars, and newspapers declare the death of sport racing. June 16th, the Ford Motor Company is founded by Henry Ford with $28,000 in cash from 12 investors. However, the first president of the company is not Ford, but local banker John S. Gray, who is chosen in order to calm the investors' fears of Ford leaving the new company like he had left its predecessor, the Henry Ford Company. Interesting side note, the company he left later forms into the Cadillac Automobile Company. June 16th, the Pepsi-Cola Company is formed by American pharmacist Caleb Bradham, who names the popular carbonated soft drink after Pepsi, the Greek word for digestion, and cola, a nut used to flavor the drink. July 1st, the first Tour de France race begins in the Parisian suburb of Montgeron. Most of the 60 men participating are French, with a few Belgians, Swiss, Germans, and Italians joining in. A far cry from the Tour de France we know now, riders did not wear helmets and much of their route was over unpaved roads. Some of the riders are even caught cheating, with one rider disqualified for illegally using a car to pace him and another for riding in a car's slipstream. July 19th, French rider Maurice Garin becomes the first ever to win the Tour de France, and his overall victory by nearly 3 hours remains the greatest margin of victory in the Tour de France to this day. Like a boss, Maurice. September 27th. Due to excessive speeding, the fast mail train derails at Stillhouse Trestle near Danville, Virginia, careening off the side of a bridge and killing 11 onboard personnel. The terrible disaster inspires the ballad Wreck of the Old 97. October 1st, the very first Baseball World Series game is played, and the Pittsburgh Pirates beat the Boston Americans 7-3 at Huntington Avenue. Jimmy Sebring hits the first home run, Deacon Felipe is the winning pitcher, and Cy Young is the losing pitcher. December 1st, The Great Train Robbery makes its official debut. Considered to be the very first American action film, it is advertised as absolutely the superior of any moving picture ever made. The film's budget? A whopping $150, which is equivalent to $4,268 today. December 10th. The Nobel Prize for Physics is awarded to Pierre and Marie Curie for their extraordinary research of radiation. Marie Curie is the very first woman to be awarded a Nobel Prize. December 17th. The Wright brothers make the first sustained motorized aircraft flight at 10:35 a.m., piloted by Orville Wright at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. Just how fast does the Wright Flyer go on its first flight? Why, an absolutely staggering 6.8 miles per hour. December 19th. The Williamsburg Suspension Bridge opens in New York City, connecting the Lower East Side of Manhattan at Delancey Street with the Williamsburg neighborhood of Brooklyn at Broadway. Upon completion, it takes the title of longest suspension bridge in the world. If you enjoyed this episode of This Also Happened and would like to see more videos exploring amazing history and technology, subscribe and hit the bell. I'm Paul Duvall. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the future.